Hello everyone, welcome to GWVersus.com. My name's Wally, and I'm joined today by Krieger and Paladin of Treacherous Empire, commentating on a match that took place during the second week of Season 2 of the Guild Wars Faction Championship. We're doing this again because based on the incredible success of our first commentated match, so of course we'd like to bring you more. Hi Krieger, hi Paladin, welcome to GWVersus. I hope you're doing well.
What's up?
Yep.
Well, that's good. It's always great to have you guys here. Before this match gets too far gone, I just wanted to ask you a quick question as to how your builds and strategies sort of differ when you're playing during the random ladder where you don't know who your opponent is, as opposed to the last game we saw where you were making specific tactical and strategical decisions based on who you were playing at the time, which was the last Pride.
We usually try to stick to a fairly balanced build, and we'll just adjust on the fly when we see what they're running. In this game, we knew that Sai was running a warrior spike, so we tried to split 6 and 2 right off the bat, sending 2 to the flag stand to try and control morale.
So, I know that when you get to this high on the ladder and you're playing these people, you've most likely played them before, and you kind of know what their builds are like. So, when this first starts and you know that, and you see their name flash across the screen, and you just sort of decide to split 6 and 2, or is that some sort of a standard procedure for this map?
That's our standard strategy on this map. We usually like to send our ranger and our elementalist to the flag stand. Maintain morale advantage.
Yeah, as long as we're controlling morale, we don't really mind taking a few deaths in the center just to get that morale controlled. It's not a big deal. You'll get your red 6 back, so...
So in that fight in the middle, when you're missing those 2 people who are normally who you send to the flag stand, like how does it feel when you're facing sort of when it becomes a 7 against 6 fight?
When you're fighting that down, you just have to play really defensively. We're really not trying to get a lot of kills or anything in the center. We're just trying to stall while our 2-man team establishes morale for us. So basically all the blackouts and gales are just being used to try and stop their warriors, and we're just going to stall as long as we can. Like right here, Chase took a death, but it's not too big of a problem.
I noticed though, as soon as he goes down, there are a whole slew of TE players who start firing off res sigs. Is there any sort of instance where you wouldn't want a lot of people like to just sort of have a mass res sig?
Oh, I can think of one right now. Back a while, we fought IQ, and what happened was one of our monks dropped and resed at base. He dropped right before the res timer, and they started getting on our other monk while our resed monk was trying to get back to us. And he just kept dying, and we resed him up, dying, resed him up, and he took about 45 DP from this instance of just continuous rezzing, when we should have just fell back and waited for our other him to res up.
So at this point,
right
your
now
tactic
it's not
of
looking too good.
yeah. So it's about this time where your control of morale is going to pay off. Like the flag runner on Sai's team's already just taken a death. Do you find that when the opposing team's flag runner sustains a death, that play suddenly sort of shifts? What happens then?
A lot of
play more
teams will
aggressively?
panic. Yeah, a lot of teams will panic once their flag runner goes down and they have no way of getting a flag out. They'll start trying to run around and figure out what to do. And so it's then that you can really take advantage of them being off balance.
Wipe their team.
See,
I
I
know in
think
the
at this point
past.
we'd already used 3 res sigs, I think. We've already burned
Uh-huh.
3 out of 4 res sigs. But we're gonna get morale shortly, I believe, so...
So at that point, you need to use it in order to sort of ensure um, to control the morale to get them back. It's really interesting.
Yeah, at this point we've got a pretty good lead on flags, and they've sent 2 people out to the flag stand as well, so we're going to be fighting 6 on 6 in the center now.
And of course, you also have the added advantage of the psychological win of taking out their flag runner once and also pulling them away from their general strategic play.
Exactly. They're used to having all 8 players or all 7 players there to be able to spike, and when we send those 2 around the back, it forces them to play a man down, 2 men down.
So this map has been featured a lot in the last the championship, well, the playoffs in season 1. Could you sort of comment as to why that is, why this is such a, like, the special particulars of this map that lead it to become such a one that's chosen so often?
I think a lot of teams like it because there's no randomness of the catapult, and also because it's so wide open, and the snare effect on the ice, it really leads itself to flag harassment and split groups. So superior tactics will come out on top on this map. So you can outplay a lot of build deficiencies just by having better movement than the other team.
For example, how I just ran off from our group and killed 2 of their guys. It's a really good movement. Strategy tactic thing I did.
Yeah, he totally soloed those 3 guys.
Pat on the back for Paladin.
But yeah, little minor decisions like that to send a guy off in the middle led to both of their runners getting taken out because they didn't notice us sending an extra man and they weren't ready for it, so that's going to lead to a morale boost pretty soon.
So we're very familiar with using the various uses of Gale offensively. Could you talk a little bit more about how to use it defensively? I know in our last talk we talked about how Blackout resets a warrior's adrenaline. In that sense, it's really valuable. But how about Gale? What would be a target for a defensive Gale?
Warriors are also a pretty good target for defensive Gales. If you know that they're fully charged and they're rushing for a monk, just go ahead and Gale them, and the monk has plenty of time to get away. It works pretty well on Ellies too, since they have long cast times on their spike skills. See, at this point, because they were down, I think, 2 of their main damagers from the flag stand, so they couldn't kill us, and then eventually our pressure just adds up.
Yeah, we took the guys that we took to go kill their flaggers collapsed on them with the rest of our team and just wiped them.
Yeah, we saved the Ellie and the Mesmer for the 8-minute res mark.
Oh, and here's Pally beating on an archer.
Pally 2 aggro bubbles away.
As usual.
That actually brings up a really well, the thing I've been wondering about. Recently in the metagame, there's been a huge switch to monk backlines, whereas before it was very standard to run 3 in the American and European regions. I note that it was also generally sort of an increase in really sort of self-sufficient characters aside from the monks. Could you sort of talk about what leads to that, what you sort of have to take into account when you're making builds, and like how to play beyond the help of your monks and your support casters?
I think it really does depend on the build that you're going for. In a spike build, you really don't need anything self-sufficient because you're planning to stay together as a group of 8. But in something more balanced, I think it's good to always have maybe 2 characters and go off by themselves, or warriors with heal sig so that they can run off by themselves, take out an NPC, push in for a flag runner. It just gives you a lot more versatility.
So essentially it would be a mistake to sort of build a 3-monk backline build and then just substitute another damager for a monk.
Well, the beauty behind our build having is, even though we have only 2 monks, we have 2 emos, both of which have Ether Prodigy and Heal Party. That's a lot of defense. Our Mesmer and our Ranger both have Blackout to stop their warriors, and our warriors can play defensively or offensively by disrupting their offense or going for their defense. So our build can have 8 defensive characters or 6 offensive characters, depending on how we play. So even though we have 2 monks, we have a lot of midline defense.
Here we made a little mistake. I think we were pushed in a little too far, right at the 10-minute res. And so as soon as they res, they're all up and spiking us down. And our monks are low on energy. And that death wasn't my fault.
Yeah, they sure don't like you, do they, Krieger?
I don't know why. I think I'm a likable guy.
Can't say I disagree.
I think it was around here we made the call to just get the hell out of there and try and get across the bridge.
Alright, so when you've got a tactical retreat like this on your hands, is there a particular order in which characters need to file out, or is it just sort of this mad dash like, the room's on fire, get out?
Definitely monks first if possible, and everyone help them. You want to prevent DP on them as much as you can. But yeah, you can tell when a guild is going for the just everyone book it, because you can pick them off really easily. Usually take a couple of them out on a retreat.
So looking at that morale chart in the upper right hand corner, there's this big swing back up by red, by Sai. At this point, and we just had the 12-minute res where you guys res at base. Are you changing tactics at all? Like, what are you thinking at this point? How do you proceed from having such a big morale swing?
I don't think we were too concerned, but we just decided to go ahead and send an extra person to the flag stand. I think we sent 3 now to make sure that they get us a morale boost to even this out. And the other 5 are just going to go ahead and push in back to their base now that they're down so many NPCs. Here we're just kind of stalling to make them decide which way they want to go, because we don't want to fight all 8.
So they've sent 2 of their warriors to the flag stand. At that point, it must be such a huge relief off of the other split squad.
Yeah, definitely. Without 2 of their warriors, our monks really aren't too worried about dying.
How is that pressure-wise for these 2 at the flag stand, then, having 2 warriors sort of chasing them around?
For those 2 builds, it's actually not too bad, since the Airily has blinding flash spam and the cripple shot ranger. They can handle 2 warriors without any problems.
And of course that was designed for those 2 to be that sufficient in mind, correct?
Yep, they complement each other pretty well.
Krieger spiked again.
See, how did they kill me with 1 warrior and 2 emos? That's terrible. Let's blame the monks.
Alright, so here you are back at base, and I had a question regarding the effectiveness of, 2 warriors versus 3 warriors. You do get kills on the warriors. quite a bit. And so I guess it sort of begs the question, like, what makes an effective warrior? Like, what are you thinking, like, as a warrior in a GvG, the front line? What do you have to keep your eye on? Who do you have to watch? How do you select targets?
Honestly, in the front line, I usually do a lot of what's called C spacing. Like, I just run around and hit C and space, whatever I attack whatever's closest to build adrenaline. As far as defensively, with my Hammer Warrior, my most recent fetish, I like to knock down a lot of their midline casters, anybody, emos, necros, mesmers, to just disrupt their tactics. As far as our monks, I'm pretty well known for staying quite a bit far away from our monks. It's called overextending. I get way up there and just disrupt their backline, bull strike anything I can find. I'll run back for heals if I need them, but if I die, it's usually, you know, Stepan's fault. JK.
So, I mean, that's general play when you're sort of building adrenaline and like sort of going for disruption. So when it comes time, like when you want to kill something and you want to make a push for a particular target, like for instance in the last match with the last Pride, you were going after their monks really hard. Like, what happens then? What do you sync up?
Well, I find a good monk target. That's usually, I usually like to get the further back monk for our warriors to push, while our mesmer shuts down the closer monk because he's a caster. And then both warriors just pound away on that monk while the mesmer blacks out and gales and does whatever to shut down that monk. We usually get kills. Swap back and forth. There's usually about 3 party members on our team that are constantly spamming their target with control space. So anybody that needs to find a good target can just click on any one of those tabs on the left of our name.
So, like in that last game with Evil, there's heavy reliance on wards, and since are you guys still running your warrior's cunning trick for this match, or is there some sort of process to try and entice them out of the wards?
You talking about against Evil?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're running our cunning trick.
Were we running? No, in latter season, I don't think we were running cunning in this match. I'm pretty sure we took it out.
Oh, I thought they were talking. He was talking about our match against Evil.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Here
I
we took it out.
Clear. Yeah. Okay. So you've taken it out here. So you're trying to hit through these wards. How do you get them to come out? I mean, obviously you guys have like a deep freeze and stuff, but is that enough to get them to spread out?
Well, here's a good trick as a warrior. What you do is when you see that word cast, you watch the timer, and 20 seconds later, you're going to want to knock down 20-second recharge on the melee. And you watch your timer, and then 20 seconds later, you just knock him down so he can't get it back up, and then you just throw all your damage on him real quick, kill him, interrupt it, and then you can start wiping them if you can get the ward to be interrupted.
Yeah, actually, in this match, we were going back and forth with them on that center patch of land for a few minutes, and while they're sitting in their wards, not really making any progress. So we decided to pull them back across the ice, try and get their casters on the ice, and fight them there.
So
And
with the special
pays
snaring
off,
effect... Oh, yeah, go ahead.
No, it pays off right there, just being able to pull them out their wards for maybe 30 seconds.
So with the added snaring effect of the ice on this particular map, are there any particular any particular tricks or things you need to look out for when fighting on the ice?
One trick most of our players like to use is if you have a warrior chasing you and you have him on the ice, you don't want to stop, but you want to strafe side to side. And when he's attacking you, he's forced to stop. So he'll pick up the ice effect while you don't, and then you keep on running.
Sneaky, sneaky.
But yeah, galing anyone on the ice, if you can get them, that's almost a guaranteed kill. here we have both monks down at 19. It's probably not enough time to kill the Guild Lord at this point in the game though. 15 seconds.
And still push right into the Guild Lord and make him nervous.
Yeah. I mean,
Well, if that
always
emo
try
hadn't
for
have
it if you
blinded
can.
us, we probably could have done it. But with the emo in the way, we had to take him out.
But as soon as they res, our first goal is just immediately jump on those monks, since they're out of res stakes, and then watch their Mimo who has the hard res. And after that it should be game.
So, I guess any sort of casual watcher of this game would probably have thought that this game could have ended 10 minutes ago. And I know you had mentioned before that you were sort of, caught too far up when they rezzed. Was there anything else that you think, could have been done to at that 10-minute mark?
On our part, no, I still like the way you played it. We're trying to play more aggressively now in the Guild Lord area. So sometimes we will take deaths like that. It just happens when you try to play aggressively and take out NPCs with it, even though they're close to a res mark.
Yeah, and it seems that one of the cardinal rules of the game is be aggressive. Well, anyway, that's, again, a stunning match, stunningly played by both teams. And it's always a pleasure talking to you, Krieger, and it's wonderful having you on, Paladin. I hope to see the both of you more often on these commentated matches at GWVersus. It's been a pleasure.
Yep, it's always great to be here.
Thanks, had a lot of fun.
Yeah, any sort of parting notes for our viewers?
Sadie is uber prut, yes.
Right on.
And fantastic. Good night, everyone.